6 seconds. It's not a long time, but it's the time that could make or break your next exhibition display. My name is Simon Connell, and in this video blog from Ashfield Displays, I'm going to be talking to you about the widely accepted fact that you've got 6 seconds to make a real good first impression on someone. As much as we hate to judge a book by its cover or take our first impression of something to form an opinion, unfortunately we all do. We all make a load of assumptions and generalisations based on the first thing that we see. Now that all might seem a little bit doom and gloom, perhaps even a little bit scary, but look at it this way. If you've got an exhibition that's got 600 people in attendance, that's an hour in front of your prospects. Maybe at a larger exhibition with 6,000 people, you get 10 hours in front of your prospects. Now just think about how much that would cost to get on a TV advert or radio advert and get in front of that many people. So what you need to do from there is find a way of turning those 6 seconds into conversations, longer conversations with those prospects at the show. So what's the best way to go about that? First things first, let's start with appearances. Now the 6 seconds that you get start from the first time that people really clearly see your stand. Now that could be as someone just walks past your stand as they're going down the aisle, or it could be from several feet away as they're walking down a corridor towards an open space that you've got. Either way, you want something that's going to visually attract people to your stand as they see it. Now, as human beings, we process things visually first. So what you want is something that visually arrests people, really brings people in to look at your stand from the first time that they see it. Unfortunately, what I see is people approaching that at exhibitions by putting their logo and their company name up on a banner, on a display, whatever they might be using. Now that might work if you're McDonald's or someone like Coca-Cola, where you've got instant recognition for your brand and your name. Unfortunately, as smaller businesses, you don't have that kind of luxury, and you're going to have to use something else to get people, to really intrigue people and get them to look at what you're offering. Try and find something that's visually representative of what you do. Now that could be a picture of somebody using your product, perhaps of a life-size image of a typical customer, or maybe a graphic representation of something that you do. Whatever it is, make sure it's big, bright and bold, something that's really going to catch the attention. And make sure it's placed in somewhere on the stand where people are going to see it. And that doesn't always mean in the centre and at the back of the stand. You should also have a think about other appearances on the stand. If your stand is cluttered and messy, does that mean you're a disorganised company? If you've got people on the stand who are stood there with their arms folded, or they're focused on their phone or their laptop screen, does that mean that you're unapproachable as a company? Maybe your display equipment isn't up to scratch. Perhaps you've got graphics that aren't hanging properly, or you've got damage to things where they've not been looked after well, or just generally the equipment looks a little bit shabby around the edges. Does that mean that you're a company who doesn't invest in yourselves, or does it mean that you're not really focused on quality? Now all of these things are assumptions, but they're assumptions that your clients could be making as they look at your stand and walk on past to speak to your competitors. So let's assume that you found that visual hook that brings people in, that makes them look a little bit further into what you do. Now what's next? What do you need them to know? The next thing for me would be to let them know what you do and who you are. Now, a lot of people would try and put that the other way around. But again, like I said earlier, if you haven't got the name recognition or the brand recognition within your company name, then that's not going to mean anything to people. So I would rather start with what you do for people or problem you solve and take it from there. Have a look at who your typical customers are, look at the reasons that they chose you, and ask your customers as well, get feedback from them, find out why they chose to come to you in particular, because that's going to be the best feedback for finding someone else like them. Once you have all of that information, it's time to condense it into something that's going to be easy to read when on the exhibition stand. So maybe you can trim it down into a question that identifies people as a prospect or not. Or maybe it's a statement that someone can identify themselves with. Or perhaps it's an industry statistic that relates to the solution that you offer that really helps people to connect with your solution. Sometimes people panic or get a little bit scared about putting that kind of message up because they're worried that they'll push people away. But actually, those kind of people that you do push away probably aren't your prospect anyway. And the people that do are going to be really good quality leads for you. So take that statement, question, tagline, whatever it might be, and put it onto your exhibition stand. Again, make it bold, make it nice and visual, make it easy for people to see. If it's a quote from a customer testimonial, put it in quotation marks next to that picture of the customer. Or if it's related to the statistic that you've put up there, put your information about how you solve that problem for them. Make it nice and easy for people to identify what it is that you do. Utilising the right kind of display equipment can make the difference between having a really successful exhibition or having a show that doesn't quite live up to the expectations that you've got. Some people get the best results from completely dressing the walls of their stand in graphics. Others might have something bespoke or custom made to sit on there and represent what they do. Other people get just as good results from utilising some well-designed and well-placed banners. Either way, it's just about finding the solution that works for you. There's one more piece of the puzzle to come, but before we get there, if you're interested in having a discussion about how to optimise your results from exhibitions utilising your display equipment, then follow the link. We'll send you a free report on how to connect to the best people at the exhibitions that you go to, and we can sort out having a chat from there. So what is the final piece of the puzzle? What one thing ties it all together? What one piece that if it's missing can undo all the good work that you've done so far? Well, quite simply, it's you. Or more accurately, the people who are manning the stand for you. Your visuals and your messaging, they're going to intrigue people and make people curious. But it's how they're approached that determines whether they're going to turn into a lead or not. Ultimately, we work in a face-to-face business and people want to make that face-to-face connection. But if the approach isn't right or isn't done at all, then you're never going to turn them into a lead. So what do you need to do? Remember that you've only got 6 seconds, but at the same time, don't jump out at people. You don't want to be leaping in people's faces as they're walking past your stand. Take a step towards them, start having a little conversation, but don't leave it too long. You don't want them to walk too far past and have you dragging them back to your stand. When you do start talking to people, make sure that you've got a really good, well-crafted opening line, perhaps even 2 or 3, to say to them to start the conversation off. And then let that lead into a few qualifying questions, questions that start to identify whether they're a prospect for you or not. So once you've asked your questions, stop and listen. Really pay attention to what they're saying to you. Be curious about them. Find out about their business and what they're doing. Listen for the information that is going to tell you whether or not they're a prospect for you. That way you can determine whether you need to have a further conversation down the line or thank them for their time and let them enjoy the rest of their day. I know that there's a lot of information to digest here and a lot to take in, but if you want to have a further discussion, just follow that link and we can sort out having a conversation from there. Remember, 6 seconds is all you need to take your business to the next level.